on today's marketing update, baseball season kicks off socially.
Tampons on Pinterest.
Social media outsourcing on the rise.
Pink slime branding catastrophe.
And Mitt Romney gets funky. All coming to you shortly. Stay tuned for more. Welcome to the Marketing Update. It's April 6, 2012, and we're coming to you live from Cambridge, Massachusetts. I'm Karen Rubin.
I'm Mike Volpe. The hashtag is MKTGUp. We monitor that. You may have your questions involved in the show.
All the old episodes are on iTunes. Leave us 5-star reviews. That's 194 previous episodes, which means our 200th episode is coming up in 5 weeks. I don't know what we're going to do, but I promise you it will be big and probably inappropriate. Also, you can all come by and watch the show live again, 5 weeks, 200th episode. I'd recommend you might want to come because chances are Mike will buy us like pizza or a cake or something. We already have beer and margaritas, so maybe an ice cream cake?
Why do you all of a sudden, when we're on live, you're like, oh, well, these are all the things you should buy for us?
Guilting you into it.
Maybe. I'll think about it.
Okay.
Wouldn't people just want to come just to hear us live?
Okay, Dad. So diving into the headlines.
Headlines. Baseball kicks off the season socially.
So season opener for baseball kicked off this week.
Opening day.
Yesterday.
Yep.
It's a big day. There's like the Masters, there's baseball, lots going on.
Yeah.
My husband didn't even know what to watch first. He had the Masters on over here and he had baseball on over here, and it was just a catastrophe.
Hopefully his employer's not watching.
I had the Masters on today. I don't know if you noticed that. Now you sit behind me, which means you could look at my screen if you want, which means I can't look at porn at work anymore. Told you it was going to be a good episode, Mike. Anyway.
I don't know what to say about all that. Yeah.
It's because my husband's in the audience. For those of you who don't know, the good-looking guy sitting up next to Donna and Anum is my husband, and he only comes once a year, so I have to put on a show. Dude, that wasn't even dirty.
No, it was, Karen.
Anyway, back to baseball. MLB really wanted to kick off the baseball season big. They wanted to, go big, go home, and use social media to drive it there, right?
Yes.
You gonna talk?
Not for a minute.
Okay. So they did some cool stuff. They had this trivia challenge going on where they were trying to drive traffic to their online viewership. So you could watch the games at MLB.tv, and they were doing trivia on Twitter, and as long as hashtag MLB stayed trending, people could win all kinds of prizes, iPads, TVs, that kind of stuff. And so they were giving it all away and encouraging people to use the hashtag at the same time, spreading lots of conversation about the live viewership, so basically you can watch at work. Like, I don't know who else watches on the internet, but basically so you can watch at work and keep up to date on what's going on.
Yeah.
This seems pretty cool.
Pretty cool. It was one of the top trending topics on Twitter, which is sort of cool. It was interesting because I don't know how much the contest sort of drove it additionally, because certainly opening day there would have been a lot of conversation around MLB
games
anyways. And I tried to do a little digging, and it's a little hard because they included a dot in the hashtag because it was MLB.tv.
Oh.
So some of the analysis tools
gets
kind of, they didn't understand, so they were trying to just look at just MLB. And so I did a little analysis. It was hard to say exactly how big of an effect this really had. They were claiming there were 57,000 responses. I think that was maybe like the total number of tweets over like a week. But I did compare just hashtag NFL to hashtag MLB. And the interesting thing is, even though it's not at all like the NFL season, right? There's not a whole lot going on right now for NFL compared to like during the season. But
Well, sort of.
What is that? What?
I mean, Tebow got traded in the last 30 days, and
Yeah,
so of course
but
Twitter was all abuzz because the
I understand.
Messiah is moving to New York.
But it wasn't. It's not like Tebow. It's like hashtag NFL versus hashtag MLB, and the average for the last 30 days was a little higher for the NFL, even though it's not even in season. Whereas the MLB, it's like this is opening day. It's like the whole season's kicking off.
Yeah, but
and they had sort of like this low volume and then a big spike in opening day. But NFL kind of had like a couple spikes, and like the overall average was higher.
Spike for Tebow and it's spiked for Peyton.
I mean, what last 30
Throws off
days?
the
I mean,
averages? You should have looked at the median.
No. The median, also just knowing the picture of the graph, the median was also higher for NFL. So it wasn't just those two spikes. Like even removing the spikes, the average was sort of and the median were both higher. in any event, I guess what I'm saying is, yes, they trended, and yes, they did all these things. I just think that they may be a little bit of a latecomer to a lot of social media, and it's good that they're sort of trying to capture it, and that's interesting. But in any event, the marketing takeaway didn't make it onto the script, but I remember what it was because I did write it in there, and apparently the wiki didn't save it. But the marketing takeaway on this one is don't just let sort of big events happen. Give them an additional push with some other promotions, like a contest or something like that, to like get, go from being like the #3 top trending topic to like the #1 top trending topic, which is basically what they did. They would have been a big deal on opening day anyways, but they did more to become even bigger of a deal.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So the next story is very exciting, tampons on Pinterest.
Now,
isn't that just what you always wanted to share on Pinterest?
It's apparently some people do.
I would just like it all to be known, I did not pick out this story. I had a different story in here about Facebook, and Mike switched it for tampons.
What my role is on this show is to find offbeat stories that have something to do with marketing in order to make the show more interesting and leverage Karen's key talent, which is
a
being
much better job of
inappropriate.
it than I do.
I do. I feel like I find most of the inappropriate stories.
I don't actually know where you read this stuff, but you send it to me throughout the week, and I'm just like, half the time I have to email and be like, is this an actual story you're sending me for HubSpot TV or spam?
Sometimes I need, sometimes I need to explain the angle. On this one, I didn't have to explain the angle,
this one's pretty cool.
So what Kotex did was they did this campaign on Pinterest, and they found, they targeted 50 influential women, and they went into their Pinterest pages and like analyzed them based on what stuff they were pinning on Pinterest. So whether it was shoes or
cupcakes, not muffins.
Okay.
Cupcakes, lots of cupcakes.
Shoes, handbags, and like what styles of things, or whatever. And then they put together a gift package based on individual for each of the 50 people, 50 women, based on their particular interests and style and whatever it was. And then they sent it to them.
Well, then I think they sent them a picture of it.
Yeah, they sent them a picture of it, and then they had to pin it.
And they said, if you pin this, we'll actually send you the
this
gift.
thing, whatever.
So they got a pin there, and then they sent them the gift, and then all of these influential people took pictures and pinned those as well of the gifts that came to them. And a lot of them were like handmade things based on their interests, and lots of different like cupcakes, and I watched the video. I wanted to see what they actually sent them based on their Pinterest interests, because what I would want is like, remodel my living room, and how are they going to send me that in a box?
I mean, they could send you some stuff to put, I don't know.
You could send me like a Barbie doll living room, like whatever. In any case, but it's very cool.
It was cool. I didn't watch the video. I went to Pinterest and tried to find like Kotex's page or account and like see like how much of a big effect this had, because the article said that they had 2,200 interactions and 694,000 impressions.
What's an interaction on Pinterest?
I don't know, and I left a comment on the blog article,
said the CMO.
basically asking. I mean, just a lot of the. So, I take issue with these metrics, and I knew that so. The problem with most of these social media services, they have this metric called impressions, and an impression can be like, it should have appeared in someone's feed even if they weren't checking their feed, or like it could be at the bottom of their feed, maybe they never got there. I just have an issue with that, because so many things you do on Facebook, it's like we're doing something like 400 million impressions on Facebook every month now. Like, it's like, if you look at all those charts, right, it's just insane, and we're really not actually getting that many true like impressions that matter. So I don't know. See, the numbers didn't sound that impressive to me, and then I went to the Kotex board, and they only had 44 pins.
Yeah.
I'm like, HubSpot has 200 pins, and we're a boring software company. So I don't know. I mean, I know the video is cool. It seemed like a really cool idea. It was hard for me to really find what effect this actually had.
I think it's branding, right?
It's I guess,
it's
but if not that many people,
top of mind.
But if not that many people actually talked about it or did anything with it, like how big of a branding impact should you have?
I kind of think tampons are like cigarettes. You don't switch
in
your
what
brand.
in what way, Karen?
I had to wait for the laugh. You don't switch your brand. Don't you watch Mad Men? Anybody Mad Men? And Don's always saying nobody changes their cigarette brand, so you have to go after the teenagers. The teenagers is your only option. It's the same with tampons. No?
Wouldn't know. It's an interesting theory. I would have to see some data to prove or not prove that.
All right.
I have no personal data on that one.
Marketing takeaway here is more targeting can lead to more reach.
There you go.
Couple of
They did a good job of
comments.
targeting there. Yeah. So Rice EK says it's a show every week, which is true. We should maybe start a different business model. This Brian Shea says first time at HubSpot TV.
Welcome.
Fantastic. I tweeted a photo.
There he is.
There he
Welcome.
is. Where is he? All right, next up we've got social media outsourcing on the rise.
So this week, Social Media Examiner launched the State of Social Media report. Super interesting. And one of the things that it showed was that over the last 2 years, there's been a 128% increase in social media outsourcing.
Yeah, it's gone from 14% of marketers outsourcing in 2010 to 32% this year.
So a lot more marketers looking outside their own company, looking to other people to do the social media for them.
Trying to get a little help.
Try and get a little help. They did say that 20% of it is for design and development only. 20% for design and development, 7% for monitoring, and 4% for community management.
So it seemed, what that sort of said to me was that for a lot of the ongoing activities that are much more core to your brand and your message, people are more likely to do those in-house. Yeah. And the ones that they tend to outsource more often would be sort of like the setup and design and things like that. That might be not as, a little bit more sort of like a one-time kind of like setup, like get us going sort of thing.
Absolutely. So, I mean, what do marketers, why do they care that more marketers are outsourcing this stuff? Should they outsource? We don't outsource anything.
We outsource extremely little in marketing.
So is that because you're opposed to outsourcing, or you?
I'm not necessarily opposed to it. I just think that our particular team, what we try to do is be a little bit more trailblazing and a little bit more experimental. And I think it would be difficult to outsource and sort of stay really on the cutting edge for us. But there are a lot of people that do it, and especially for, I would say, well, it's funny, I was going to say for smaller companies, but big companies do a ton of outsourcing too, and they both do it for different reasons. I think small companies do it because it's, sometimes you have these big spikes, they want to spend a bunch of money, we don't want to spend a bunch of money, it's hard to like hire people, fire people, hire people, fire people. Big companies do it because at most larger companies, it's actually usually a little bit easier for the marketers to get money for budget than it is for them to actually get headcount, which makes zero sense, by the way, but that is the reality of how it works in some larger companies. And so they tend to basically take money and then spend it on people through an agency, and you're actually usually spending a big markup on those people, which is why I say it makes no sense. But in any event, the marketing takeaway here is that you should consider finding a trusted partner to help you with inbound marketing. And if you go to services.hubspot.com,
so good. You can find a whole network of amazing people you could partner with
ratings and reviews and numbers of customers that they've worked with and things like that. So it's a great, I get asked 2 or 3 times a week, oh, do you know a good agency for XYZ? And my response is always link to services.hubspot.com.
Sounds good.
Made my life easy, which I love.
So
all right.
pink slime branding catastrophe. Everybody's heard about pink slime at this point.
Apparently, I guess. I don't know.
I had never heard about lean, finely textured beef until a couple weeks ago. But now...
LFTB.
LFTB.
For those of you
well done.
Into the beef lingo.
Apparently, if you haven't paid attention to the news in the last couple weeks, LFTB is apparently an additive added to beef to, I don't know, bulk up ground beef.
It's funny. It's not even really. So this, I actually went to the Wikipedia. I read a lot about this because I was really fascinated by it. Or I couldn't sleep, one or the other. And so when you're making products out of beef, you have a lot of scraps, which are like mostly fat, but there's like a little bit of beef in there. And this guy figured out how to basically like heat that up so like the fat melts, and then put it in a centrifuge. So you spin it, and then the actual like meat beef part, like it's like pulled to the side of the centrifuge. You can separate it away from the fat, and you can make this stuff that is beef. It's like really, really fine, like version of like a hamburger, basically.
Lean, finely
and it's actually
beef.
Extremely lean. It's like almost fat-free because you're sucking the fat away from the meat part.
And so they add it into ground beef to help it stick together, or?
I think, well, so they add it into ground beef to actually make it a little bit leaner sometimes. Okay. And I think it's a way to maybe have a lower price as well, because it seems to be more on the lower price products that tend to have more of this.
Do you think that if you get the like 98% lean beef, you're getting a lot more
I don't know.
Slime?
I don't know. No, so I don't know. I
think the reason it's called pink slime is they then take it and they like squirt it out into these bricks.
And then they use that and like mix it in.
They use that and they mix it in, and so it's like disgusting.
It used to be called LTFB, and then a USDA scientist who was a product inspector, whatever, in an internal email called it pink slime, like joking with somebody else within the USDA, whatever. It is totally safe, by the way, like especially because it's like cooked and then like recooked.
It's not chemicals. Even
like,
Dan Zarilla would eat it.
It's heavily processed, but like that whatever, right? But anyway, so then in a 2009 article that was critical of the manufacture of this stuff, the New York Times mentioned the phrase pink slime because it found it through some information research, like whatever. And then the celebrity chef Jamie Oliver rallied against it, and then like ABC News and Huffington Post, and then social media, and then like, oh my gosh, like pink slime, like how could you possibly eat pink slime? And there's been this huge backlash, and now all the stores are coming out and being like, we don't sell anything containing pink slime, and we're removing this or removing that from our shelves, and Whole Foods is like, we've never sold anything that ever contained any pink slime.
Of course not. Is pink slime only in beef? Because I was making turkey burgers the other day, and I'm like looking at the turkey package trying to figure out if there's pink slime in ground turkey.
Yeah.
And they don't actually list it. Like, it's a package of ground beef. Guess what it says in the back? I mean, ground turkey. Ground turkey. That's what I figured. Matt Stein's telling me they can use the same process for turkey.
Yeah,
so, like,
I know.
I was like, I have no way of knowing if this has pink slime in it.
But should you really care, I think is one question.
Right, like, you've been eting this for your whole life. You've all been eating this, and none of us are dead from pink slime yet, anyway.
It's not, as far as I know of. But so there's lots of things like, do you like it, do you not like it, whatever. So, check your labels. But that's all. This is about the marketing impact of it.
Yes.
Which?
What is the marketing impact, Mike?
Well, if something is called pink slime, no one's going to like it.
Well, wait, not no one, like 9-year-old boys. Actually, because it's pink.
But they want to eat it.
They wouldn't like the pink side of it.
No. I mean, so
you lose on all fronts. The slime people don't like the pink. The pink people don't like the slime.
Yeah, it's just not good, right? And so I think the interesting thing here is that even though it was actually coined by a USDA inspector, this is like, hey, you don't want to become a victim of this and like have this happen to your product, but more importantly, could you use this as a way to like go after your competition? Is there some like catchy way you could emphasize the negative part of your competition? For instance, maybe if you were selling marketing software and some other ways, other people were also selling marketing software, but their marketing software was really, really different from yours. Because what their marketing software was like only marketing automation, and maybe that would be just like smarter spam. Right? And if you call that smarter spam, is that like a way of like doing sort of something similar?
I have no idea what you want me to say right now.
I don't know what I want you to say either.
It might be. Smarter spam probably doesn't appeal to as many marketers. We don't like spam.
Yeah.
Spam is bad.
Spam is bad. Of course it is. Just like slime is bad.
So
Who wants to eat
saying
slime? Who wants to do spam? It's like the same thing.
Rebrand other people's stuff in bad ways if you can get away with it.
Well, whether you get away with it or not get away with it, like you could certainly try. It can be a little bit of a cheap shot, whatever. But I think there's lots. So think about doing that. It's like an interesting way to sort of take the lessons from the pink slime saga and apply it to your own business.
Sounds good.
Why are you smirking at me?
Because I honestly don't know what to say. This is one of those times when like there are things.
It's the second time that you don't know what to say in the show.
I rarely use I rarely monitor what I say, as you all know. I'm pretty just like, it thinks and it comes out my mouth and there's no self-censor. There are some things I self-censor on, and right now, like I don't know what boss, I'm not sure what to say. Let's move on to the next topic.
All right. So Mitt Romney getting a little funky.
With
behavioral targeting. Nothing too funky.
Nothing too funky.
But he's getting funky with data and analytics and marketing.
Republican.
Right.
In any case.
Wow. I was totally going to call you out on the the political bias and the Karen Rubin reporting, and you just did it for me. So there you go.
There's no political bias. I just
How is there? You just said he's
Republicans don't get funky as much.
Sounds like political bias to me. So.
Stereotyping, maybe, but
okay.
In any case, so Romney's advisors found a survey that said that 31% of likely voters have not watched broadcast television live during the previous week.
Yep, and when they did watch television, they were fast-forwarding through the commercials because it wasn't live. So.
I mean, 30% of likely voters, that seems low to me. Like,
yeah, I know.
Like, who watches commercials nowadays? And who watches... but there's...
The answer of the audience is old people who also vote.
Who also vote. You're probably
right. Fine. But here's the thing, even at 31%, the Romney campaign was like, okay, well, we need to do something about this. So here's what they did. They defined their persona.
Yep.
So they did lots of surveys, online surveys, because they figure, okay, the people that are in this segment happen to be very much online. Thousands of online surveys about party affiliation, their positions in key political issues, opinions about the current president, and tried to find this segment of people that was potentially persuadable. So not the people that, like, if you market to them, they're never going to vote for Romney anyways, and not the people that are like, on Romney's fan page and following his Twitter and following his Foursquare check-ins and like already all over him. They're trying to find the people that like we could actually convince them, but they're not totally convinced yet.
And so they decided that those people were 18 and older, Republican-leaning, and strongly dissatisfied with the current administration.
I mean, shock, and shock, right? It's like,
we really need to do a whole bunch
you
of
gotta be 18
surveying
to
to figure
vote,
that one out.
but fine. But so they figured that out, okay? Then
2 and 2.
they tried to, there you go. So then they said, okay, well, how do we find this persona? And what they did is there's a bunch of different ad networks and other technologies that assemble information about people visiting across multiple websites. And they used services like that to basically find people that fit that profile based on what websites they were visiting, like where they were going, what types of articles they were reading, and that type of stuff.
Sharing with their friends.
All of that stuff. So they're trying to basically, find people online based on their online behavior that match that persona that they found during the surveys. Then they used highly targeted ads to target that group, but they even broke that group down further. So depending on where you were and exactly what profile you were within that group, you would actually get different advertisements. So some might be like a negative advertisement against like Santorum. Others might be more of like a pro-Romney, Romney's really good at business, and not be a negative ad, or like lots of different ads. And they had, I forget how many, but it was like a couple dozen different ads and messages that they were using in this group, as opposed to what they used to do in politics was like one ad on national TV that would try to cover like 12 or 15 different points within the ad, like Santorum's bad, Romney's good at business, and they would just like try to mishmash everything in. But now it's like hyper targeting with only one specific message for each specific person.
It's very cool stuff. It's like, they realized it's 2012.
I know. It's really, really interesting. Obviously, the where this sort of strategy falls apart is like people tend to ignore banner ads, right? So
well, they're still using PPC. They're still using ads and sites, and those only have so much.
they're doing a bunch of inbound stuff, which we've talked about as well. And there are times where it's like, well, people in this group, are they going to be really highly engaged and like want, so it's like there's a challenge there.
There wasn't anything on the results of it in this article, which would be really cool. So if you work for the Romney campaign and you're spending your Friday afternoon watching Marketing Update, we'd love to know what you found out and if this worked for you.
Yeah, which they probably are not doing because you talk about Obama all the time.
I love Romney, though. He's from Massachusetts.
Yeah.
All right.
Do you know who's that? Do you know who it is? No.
No.
All right. Well.
At DM Hergert.
Yeah.
Said this much fun
at work isn't allowed on the other side of the river, just so you know.
Gotta come to Cambridge.
Apparently, you gotta come to Cambridge for the real fun in the workplace.
Yeah. Dog running around behind the set.
Hey,
throws me off every time.
What are you up to this weekend, Karen?
It's Passover and Easter this weekend. Hot family.
And something else is going on this weekend.
Well, the Masters too. Yeah. Well, there'll be a little bit of golf watching, just a little.
Yeah.
What about you?
So, okay, you're just doing all the three of those things?
Yeah.
So we've got Easter brunch with the family. That's it.
We've got dinner tonight. We have dinner tomorrow night. There's brunch on Sunday. Like, I'm gonna do yoga at some point. Like, it's a family packed weekend. Good stuff.
Awesome.
Then a little bit of golf on the side when we're allowed.
Watching, not playing.
Watching. No, Jared played this morning.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But not you. Did you play?
I worked. I thought that I might be able to go to the driving range, and then I tried to like fake a swing and like twisting it. No. This doesn't
I don't even
work.
know why you thought, yeah.
I don't know. It's like, see, when you're a girl and you play golf, you have to like golf around your boobs anyway. So golfing around your belly, I didn't think it would be that different. In fact, it is. But wait, have you guys ever watched professional golf? There are a lot of guys out there with guts comparable to my pregnant belly right now, and they do all right. So explain to me why this doesn't work.
Maybe you need to find some of those guys and have them teach you how to golf again for the next 2 months.
There are guys playing in the Masters today that should be wearing bros, if you ask me.
It is interesting because if you ever also go to watch golf live, like a huge percentage of them smoke. Like while they're playing, like they're like popping it, like taking it, but they never show any of it on TV None of it on TV.
That's so
Like they'll like hit a
disappointing.
drive and they'll be walking down the fairway. They're lighting up and like they're smoking and then they put it down, hit their shot, and they never show it on TV. They never show it on TV. Occasionally, like cigar, like makes it onto TV, but the cigarettes never make it onto TV.
That's very disappointing.
At least I would say a third of tour pros like smoke cigarettes while they're playing.
So unsexy.
I don't think they're worried about being more sexy.
They also, apparently the white belt is all the rage this year. Patrick Shea was telling me that like 3/4 of the guys out there playing are wearing white belts, which is only interesting because before going to Vegas, my husband insisted on buying a white belt, which I told him nobody should wear white belts, and now golf has decided that white belts are acceptable. And let me tell you folks, nobody should take fashion advice from the world of golf. This is the lesson. In any case, enjoy your weekend. We'll see you next week.